this is a tough nut to crack. Surviving topside is going to be a tricky problem.
Top lane is definitely a large jump in difficulty here in opponents for Broken Blade. That is for sure. Facing Zeus up there, and we'll see about the pick ban. Of course, banning his Jace is mandatory versus Zeus. I will say though, it's kind of interesting. You were talking about, oh, if they could have played him in Split 1. G2 actually did quite well against LCK teams in Split 1 at first stand.
You're right.
First stand, you know, taking down Gen.G as well as BFX very convincingly as well. So that the angle for the hope is there, Dracos.
100%. The seed for optimism has been sown. Reverse sweep yesterday. Now coming into today, how well can you perform against HLE? Right off the bat, Kanavi on the bye. General wheelhouse for Kanavi, we do see an occasional spicy pick, but he's pretty bread and butter on the skirmishing junglers that are meta staples, meta standards. It's the way he plays them and how aggressive he is with his picks that often makes the big difference for this HLE lineup. As G2, they're debating, maybe we just see the Seraphine Ashe here, something on the bot side that might force HLE to play a little bit more around the bot side as well, which in turn would free up some of the top lane pressure. Delight, of course, we know we can play the ranged champions, but when this guy gets to play engage, when he is freed from that bot lane 2v2, he is a menace on the map.
I can kind of already connect the dots here. When you're showing Vi early on, you're showing that you are going to go for dive, and Xin is really good into Vi because you can force fights early, and Xin is also really good with Ashe Seraphine, so yeah, they're immediately jumping to complete that combination. They don't have to lock the Ashe immediately, so they're going to go for the Xin part of it instead. Regardless, the Xin into Vi always, you get to have a lot of say about how the early game goes. So if you're looking at SkewMond versus Kanavi, you know, as they were highlighting from, you know, previous worlds, you want him to be in the one where early on the Xin, he is going to have a lot of authority. But as you say, when you're talking about Guma lanes on bottom side, get him a mage and get Delight, that Camille that he absolutely terrorized Team Secret Whales with. Okay.
And draft number 1, HLE playing perfectly into that comfort zone. Guma, we expect there to be not so much 2v2 focus. We expect it to be roaming to the top side, letting Guma be that stable source of damage in the bottom lane. Can still play for the 2v2, but they don't have to.
They're dropping the Ashe all the way, Draco, so they don't even need that pairing. They're going to go for the Ryze instead. They value that even more.
Interesting. Obviously sets caps up for success. You heard what D talk about on the desk, right? Give him a strong angle in mid lane. Ryze in a vacuum, a strong champion, but now it could be backed up by 2 additional bans to ensure that Zeka isn't feeling super comfortable in that mid lane 1v1, and that's why we're seeing the Cassio taken away.
It is very interesting because like Seraphine can, you know, we've seen it get paired with like Ezreal and stuff like that as well, but usually when the Ashe is taken away, and they can try and combat some of that poke damage. Let's see though. Cass and Anivia is another, you know, good answer into Ryze. That is very common. Anivia, Talia, these are the sorts of things that are kind of floating around. So those are the other kind of protection bands that you're looking at. And the reason they do drop the Ashe, of course, like you're highlighting, is you get 2 protection bands for your Ryze priority. And with Zeka having a lot of success on the Ryze, it is also nice to get it out early on in Fearless. So let's see which they decide to follow it up with here. I mean, I do like banning an Anivia so that they don't take it, and then you also could have Anivia later on for G2 because it's been quite good for them, but they really want to take down some of the Zeus possibilities of landing a Rumble Equalizer on top of Camille, Ziggs, Vi, Engage. Yes, that does sound like a combo you would like to break.
It does sound like a combo. Kobe, can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
Why did they ban Rel with Seraphine locked in? Is there, are we cooking? Is this a bot lane carry, Seraphine? Is there, this feels like it's telling us either, oops, we accidentally banned a support, and or there might be some cooking happening in scrims.
So you can flex Ryze to top lane for sure, and then you could theoretically put the Seraphine mid. That's what I would assume.
I'm just putting it out there. I don't expect a definitive answer, but I'm just wondering, what was that Rel ban for? Perhaps a little bit of flexibility on where the Seraphine goes.
You can't even say, oh, maybe they were trying to bring back Jungle Rel because they have been already as well.
No, right?
I think the most likely is the possibility of the flex with Ryze and then moving Seraphine up there. And so it does look like that is going to be the case, Dracos. That is their read. They saw it coming. there for HLE.
And I think we can say almost with 100% confidence at this point that these two teams have scrimmed each other, because that is some information you have not seen.
Or it's just Seraphine AP carry bottom, and you keep her bottom.
I like that too.
Yeah, you keep the Seraphine bottom with the kill lane. And Rel is a really good partner, but so is Nautilus. So I think actually I'm gonna go with the Seraphine bottom into the Ziggs.
That's
my final
of the
answer.
potential options. I like that
That's
one,
my
Kobe.
final
I like
answer.
that you've locked that one in.
Until we see some weird mid matchup or something, if they really wanted to do extra flex.
But that little bit of flexibility anticipated by HLE. Okay. Well, the gauntlet, well, you can hear Daejeon going crazy, and it's because the gauntlet has been thrown down. I'm sorry, Zeus coming out with the Ambessa, blind picking it. Zeka bringing this out.
Warwick.
And the Broken Blade Warwick. And if you're feeling good right now, it's because you forgot MSI last year. Because the last time we saw us on the international stage, it was a disaster up against CB LoL. But here today, I have no doubt that it's been leveled up. This pocket pick, even more comfortable coming in for BB. And you have to hope so, because this is going to be a volatile map.
Yeah, Warwick, all Warwick matchups are very volatile because he wants to fight you, get very low, fight you to the death, and follow you with the hold on the Q. And Ambessa very mobile, but Warwick can follow you with the Q. And then you have your E for really good CC setup. With a Warwick and a Xin, you can have priority in that 2v2 early on. You win that 2v2. So let's see what G2 can do around their solo lanes, especially early. By picking up the Xin, you have priority here before this Vi does get to level 6. And with these solo lanes, you definitely have a lot to cook with.
And I like that you bring up the early game, because when you look at HLE's composition, if this team comp gets a lead with the Vi, Ambessa, the Yone, the Ziggs who can just drop bombs from afar, it is going to be so difficult for G2 to fight from a deficit. So tracking those early lanes, seeing how they deal with HLE on what looks to be an incredibly comfortable comp is going to be crucial as we load into game 1 of this series. HLE, we highlighted it, 3-0. Looking dominant coming into this one. G2 made the miracle happen with reverse sweep, but HLE another caliber of opponent.
Okay, Dracos, this is going to be exciting no matter what. I mean, we have Camille and Nautilus getting a lot of roam time here and working with their junglers. Level 1 though, Caps.
Hook connecting onto Zeka. Nice initial trade. Delight going to start to trade back a bit. The adaptive shield stopping any follow-up, but just a fight for vision.
Chunks on both mid laners, but generally the Yone has to trade his health more in the lane against Ryze's mana. So that might be beneficial for G2's side, even though the health bars were pretty similar, because that is the resource that you're kind of expending in this matchup. So nice little early start for them, even though they do clear out the ward, and both junglers going to start on bottom half.
Looking to the wall from Labrov. Nice little lockup on Naguma. Sama following up there, as well as Delight does his best to trade back with the Halo Blades, but you saw a little bit of the kill potential setup even at level 1, right? Every single cooldown rotation, Nautilus hook, and the immediate follow-up damage from Sama.
The supports definitely are a highlight too from their previous series. Labrov was on fire in the late stages versus TES. Delight obviously had a massive Camille game an entire series, and they continue to land these hooks and get these trades. Nice combos from Hans and Labrov. They've got the push on the minion wave, so they guarantee their priority, and they get a lot of harassment down while they're doing it. Question will be how much of those minions can Guma clean up while they're getting harassed at the tower? And the other question is Vi going to do the 3-camp gank bottom?
Still low, but has the Q perhaps. Barrier. That's not good. Broken Blade. Is perfectly outspacing the Q here.
Flash exchanged for the barrier here. Interesting on the cooldowns, because barrier is shorter cooldown, but that is the lifeline for the Warwick.
Bot lane, root in and get the immediate exhaust of Gumayusi, but they don't quite have the follow-up damage. For now, he'll get to side. You see on the side of your screen, this is why there's some optimism, because not only are they forcing flashes, but this year 6-0 against the LCK. That's all at first stand.
Seraphine AP carry is looking like a really good answer.
It's looking good. I'm starting to think that some of that first stand optimism is coming through, but this is the other side of the coin, Kobe, is that they're not playing against your mama's LCK team. They're playing against HLE, and HLE, well, they know how to scrap.
Broken Blade and Zeus scrapping for sure up here. Playing around that E cooldown on the Warwick, dashing in, dashing right back out.
And I just got, as an EU fan, I appreciate that the Warwick is here. I'm not a fan of watching a champion at 150 health. This is a little too stressful. It's a little too stressful.
What about if your jungler comes to join the party? Zeus has no flash, remember. He traded it for the barrier on an earlier exchange. Luckily for him, Kanavi around. It does get visual confirmation.
Delight also on the way up, but Labrov is here too. Level 3 to level 2. Q goes wide from Kanavi. That's a nice start for the side of G2. Broken Blade moving in to try and follow up a low health target. It's going to mean all that extra attack speed. Fear down. Delight down a level means it can't do a damn thing. It gets taken out as well. 2 quick kills on the top side for G2.
What did we say, Dracos? It is guaranteed from Champ Select. Warwick and Xin Zhao are going to have priority in that early 2v2 on the bottom side. And the formula doesn't change when it's a 3v3 with Labrov and Delight both there. Also helps that SkewMond dodges the initial Q from Kanavi to start out the entire play. Dodging an ability in these 3v3 skirmishes that early changes everything. And then Warwick loves that scrap right into the middle, gets the fear on them, and G2 are on the board. Talk about those.
Ooh, SkewMond still following. You're right. The aggressive early game favoring G2 so far. Kanavi wants to turn it back a bit. Q flash in, flash back from Caps. Lock was there. The excessive force. He doesn't have enough time to proc it. Blinking health bar. Caps running 22 HP. He's still alive. And SkewMond's here for the turn. But it's about to be 4 members of HLE in the mid lane. This is going bad for G2. Flash out to safety. Labrov hoping, praying for a hook into the tower. Living an extra moment. But Zeus with a sundering slam to get 1 in return.
And even Zeus is here. It's a party in the mid lane, Dracos. And now he can teleport back to the wave on the top side. He's not even going to lose a minion. Gets it for the... Oh, okay. Didn't quite get that off on the melee, but that's it.
And I gotta say, HLE, not afraid to step on the gas for people showing up in mid lane.
I mean, we knew we had to show that combined kills graphic really early on in the game because it remains true. And G2 playing right into that pace of the game, but, you know, comes off of Raptors here. SkewMond thinks they have the turn because Caps has escaped, but Kanavi, his blast shield was back up, so he got back in. He was fine there, knocking them over, and Zeus can close the distance here on the Ambessa. Really nicely played to barely pick up the extra kill there for the side of HLE. And then, as highlighted, he teleported back to lane and the action will continue. Now we have Delight on a roam timer going up through a lane gank towards that top side of the map. Now that Zeus is level 6.
Level 6 healing reduction as well. It's going to make it that much harder. Warwick, of course, the damage reduction, the fear. Can take a little bit of burst out of the equation, but it's still so hard to survive that dive. Luckily, they're just happy to push the wave in for now. Instead, it might be mid that's targeted.
Yeah, Delight was just covering for a possible timer from SkewMond, so therefore a counter gank opportunity as the big wave was pushing. And then we'll just pass down and look at mid instead. It's being answered by Labrov, though, waiting in the wings here. Both supports in the fog of war, playing off their control wards.
Goes in. Soul Unbound brings Zeka right back, but now Kanavi on the way in as well. Q3 ready to go for Zeka, as is the ultimate. Flash forward, Caps not able to sidestep in time. Try and run for his life. Labrov, a nice body block. Realm Warp to hope to take him out. Caps! Houdini on the escape. After the initial CC is gone, he knows he's free to just use the ulti.
Caps has had several near-death experiences this game, but remains pristine. 0-0-0 and keeping the CS lead as well with all the action. HLE, though, they will transfer that pressure into the Dragon and get the push on the mid tower. At the very least, it's going to be turret plate money for Zeka.
Under the light.
Wait, they could trap SkewMond. Zeka's coming on the way over.
Level 6 there for Kanavi.
Uh-oh.
SkewMond, I don't think, ready for this fight. Easy follow-up now for Zeka. HLE first on the move. SkewMond not anticipating the level 6.
That was a big question mark for me, was why are you walking in there when you don't have the mid lane priority? They must have assumed that Zeka had finished the recall. They thought Zeka was going to finish a recall after pushing up to the tower, and so he could walk up to get a look at Dragon. But Zeka, he hadn't finished. He cancels it. He walks over, and they grab another one.
And after the initial start looked so good for the side of G2, HLE have evened out, now even pulled ahead a bit in gold on top of having that first Dragon.
And Dylan Falco talked about, you know, the pace that HLE set and talking about when the difference between them playing versus like quote-unquote normal LCK teams and playing versus like LPL style, and talking about how G2 is really looking and examining very heavy how they can keep up with teams that do set very quick paces. And so this game, I think, you know, they laid the blueprint and they put it into action, and yet still is going to be heavily contested as both supports on that same roam timer.
Yeah, Gumayusi now assigned to the top side of the map. It's going to make things a little bit harder for Broken Blade. A lot more potential to get burst out here as Guma's damage just continues to grow. See Broken Blade still working with bits and pieces of itemization. And Hansama in the 1v1. has range, most certainly, but I get nervous the second any other member of HLE shows up in the bottom lane.
He wanted that cannon. Oh, he didn't even get the cannon. Hans tried to get that cannon with the snipe. He doesn't get it, and he ends up having to flash.
Flash gone, pings out. Zeka with the Fate sealed, but nowhere to stack up the Q, so not going to opt to contest. All 3 grubs picked up by G2. If they get their side laners strong, this is going to be a massive benefit.
Yeah, and Warwick is a monster in these early skirmishes, especially with his barrier back up. Really have to respect, because once you get into that scrap, it's very difficult to get away from him. The hold on the Q, here we go.
Kanavi here too, Jaws of the Beast coming out, a bit of damage mitigation, but that Ignite does so much work. Ulti coming in from Gumayusi, but barrier there for Broken Blade to block. Now it's Delight in trouble, exhausted. Hansama looking if he can follow up, but the ulti goes completely awry as the re-engage is there from Kanavi. Cease and desist. No more cheesing in the top lane. HLE ready this time around.
HLE live here. They bring the teleport. They outplay the ultimates. Nice spacing from them to win the skirmish on the top side again.
And it's just so difficult when you fall low and that Ignite is on you. Broken Blade just cannot enter the fight, and the second Hansama does not connect that ulti. That's just all of the damage gone. It's not the support Seraphine. Landing those abilities is really everything in those short fights.
Yeah, they definitely could see this one coming. Nice positioning all around. Broken Blade, again, Zeus has done a very good job to kite out the range on the E from Broken Blade. He makes him use it, dashes right back out, and Ambessa just gets more and more scary as the game goes on, especially since he was able to grab that kill from mid lane, kind of accelerating his build, allowing him to buy. Wait a second.
Maybe setting up a trap here. Labrov dropping the vision down to light. Chips in the night. It's passing by as Kanavi continues to clear. Staying slightly ahead of SkewMond, but both junglers with the Sundered Sky completed. However, as much as I'd like to be optimistic about Warwick's ability to come back at low HP, and it's certainly very powerful, it is a little unnerving that he's constantly below 50%.
That's why very few people, play this champion top. You have to get comfortable in that low health. You have to be comfortable in the excitement, in the nervousness, Dracos. It takes a while,
Yeah,
It's not a natural state for humans.
All right, yeah. I'm not comfortable is what I'll say. I'm glad Broken Blade seems to be. So now he's got a Kraken Slayer.
You have to be okay with death.
Yeah. Well, no death thus far. Although Labrov just standing on top of the blast cone here, trying to take Kanavi out, but a quick vault breaker away.
I love it. Drop all the wards over it, and then, never mind, they just walks out and walk off it anyway.
He's still fine. He still has, Q. As at this point, there was a glimmer of G2 early game looking dominant here, but HLE just responded much better, although now Delight the one in trouble. Realm Warp through, looks like Delight will just be sacrificed. You can see Zeka immediately pulling off that play. Recognize there's no way for Delight to escape, so they just concede the kill onto the support.
Honestly, best possible place to put that money too, right into Caps. The Ryze here has so much potential in this game with the roaming power. As
Kobe, stop. Your caster cursing.
Your
caster cursing. I know I did the one to TN, but come on.
You had a really powerful one.
HLE don't need it. And I agree with you, but that trade was why you have to get a little bit scared when, one, Zeka is playing the Yone, and two, when Yone is ever ahead by any margin.
We got to put our powers to the test. I mean, we've had quite a few full 5-game series. HLE though, they're gonna keep on stacking, and it's looking very good. Aside from the very first skirmish on top side, they have been able to thrive in this pace. So both Dragons and the gold lead, also resulting in more jungle camps being stolen away here. Kanavi continues to lead the charge into the G2 jungle.
Yeah, 100% kill participation, 2, 1, and 2 on the Vi. Kanavi looking like a demon. Had the one fumble on the topside play, right? The vault breaker going wide. Did not miss a beat, though. Did not suddenly play back. Did not play any less aggressive. Yeah. Immediately just continued looking for those plays as Labrov supporting Broken Blade to get some more gold in his back pocket. Caps here as well, maybe hoping they can bait a play. 4 members of G2 overloading the top side of the map.
Yeah, I mean, they're just going to send...
That's the ulti going in for Zeus. Labrov now looking for a lockup in the meantime, taking out Delight. Zeus waiting under the tower, ulti in, perfectly timed charm, but the Fate sealed to get away. Good reaction from Zeka to buffer. Ulti from Gumayusi connecting just on the frenzy. There's too much damage, HLE. Solo laner's doing a lot of work, but Zeus maybe over-eager. Broken Blade with a blinking health bar. But supposedly that's his comfort zone. Hansama, I don't think so, though.
Yeah, it's not a Seraphine comfort zone.
The flash Q, ulti in onto Hansama. Kanavi now looking for a bit more follow-up. Zeka needs to stack for the Q3. A few more seconds before he's forced to snap back on the Soul Unbound. And HLE in the extended fight still able to find an edge.
They find that edge and they use it to cut down G2. More kills, more gold into the pockets of HLE. You see that huge combination as well from Guma as he joined. Giant burst damage. Zeus really wanted to finish that kill. He barely was not able to get in range to finish off the Warwick, but the double ultimate from the Ambessa and the Warwick at the very same time there, it caused Broken Blade to go all the way through, and they still killed Delight, but with the nicely timed immunity there from Zeka, they are actually able to buy time for the Ziggs to get there. Large AoE used, and Broken Blade does flash out, but as you know, the end of that story, there's more people on the way. Look at Kanavi running up the river. He uses his flash to get in range as well for the extra kill.
There's more fighting.
As there should be.
Foolish of us to go into a replay. We should have known more would be coming. But you have to feel for Broken Blade. He's itemized a bit of armor, no other defensive stats, and you can see just stepping in to that minefield, just the edge of Guma's ulti takes out about 60% of his HP, and that's 1.5 items on this Ziggs. It's only getting scarier the further we go in, but Broken Blade still hoping to force the 1v1. Needs to get Zeus lower. That's the ulti. Infinite Duress now coming in the extended play. Warwick can do a lot of work, but Zeus might win the 1v1 before it even gets there. Gumayusi TP's in just to say nice job, but as they set their sights perhaps onto the tier 1 tower.
Well, you already know the fans are going to be calling to put the Warwick back on the shelf for another year, Dracos, but I like it. It's exciting every time we see it.
For the wrong reasons, Kobe. It's exciting for the wrong reasons. Zeka also taking topside. And again, HLE, one tiny misplay, one look of hope around that bot side 2v2. Otherwise, they've been trading up in each and every skirmish. Now a 3,000 gold lead. Now a Herald empowering them as well as Zeka just continues to take his time in the top lane, knowing no one can stop him from taking this tower out.
Yeah, it definitely gets super scary. Like the solo lanes for HLE getting extra money is always going to be worrisome, but then you also remember, hey, Guma on this Ziggs is destroying everything he sees, and he can just delete towers as well for HLE, so Guma is going to have that infinite wave clear, is going to have that priority in mid lane, and he can just lob bombs over to either of his solo laners that decide, hey, we're going to get into another scrap now. Not only does Zeus and Zeka have the mechanics to win 1v1s, but then they can also have so many other things from their teams to assist in those.
And as we take a look at the coin-based gold grind, you can see that as good as it started in the lane, Guma's just been hoovering up money, breaking plates, getting just, I mean, he's just a rich boy, and it's perfect. As you highlighted, your individual solo laners already have these small leads for themselves, already outplaying the 1v1, but when you can add an extra, I don't know, 600 damage on top of what was already a slightly favorable trade, it just doesn't feel like there's a counterplay for G2.
Plus, he's also a very wise boy. You see the experience difference between him and the Seraphine. Dracos, money does not buy you happiness, but I guess
it'll buy you more bombs to blow up your opponents.
It will buy you more bombs, and then he also has the life experience advantage.
Oh, Hansama. By the time you tick over to level 12, you'll understand. Maybe you'll be able to make the difference, but not quite yet. As, yeah, Guma getting a lot more freedom than you would expect from a Ziggs. He's wandering very far forward, but G2 just have such a hard time. They're kind of forced to respond to these side waves that they can't immediately punish him. Not confident in where Delight is, just makes it really hard for them to pull the trigger.
Yeah, and we knew from the beginning, this is going to be a bloody and scrappy game with G2 trying to play into this plan. They're going to go for the fight.
Instantaneous TP, Herald summon just in case they want an escape route. That's ulti going in from Delight. Nice knockback from SkewMond to break the Hextech ultimatum. G2 though, the Drake is up and they can't approach. Important to highlight, they could try to walk into the pit, but there's already a Herald charging, and to walk through that little choke point into Guma, into HLE, would be a death sentence.
It certainly does. It certainly would be, and G2 do not want to accept that sentence just quite yet. So they will bide their time and look for a better opportunity. They want this dream combination. You know, they have the team fighting of the Nautilus and the Seraphine. And hopefully for their case, you know, with the Ryze done, that can help out with the CC. They really want to be able to control the melee carries that are on HLE. The problem is, they're just going to come from all different angles, you know, and the guaranteed engages from Delight and Kanavi are going to be really difficult to deal with. So the setup is there. Wait, they're on the attack.
Delight, locked up. Hookshot wall dive, not connecting. Able to find a bit more damage here. As the response from Guma is to take half those health bars. Immediate TP coming in from Zeka, but he's exhausted. Follow-up CC now going to Kanavi, Ryze to the fight. They're just rolling into G2, and it is not working out. 2 quick kills picked up by G2, but HLE continue to approach.
See, Warwick is exciting. He snipes him. Warwick ultimate hit.
Ulti, Zeka, or Zeus straight into the backline. Zeka already dead. Kanavi looking to clean up. Broken Blade finds Gumayusi on the side. He'll take him down, but top jungle from HLE is tearing through the fight. SkewMond, blinking health bar. Broken Blade, a little bit extra sustain coming in. The Eternal Hunger, stacking him up, but a little bit more burst from Zeus should just finish the job. He's too far behind to pull ahead in the 2v1.
Zeus able to clean up. He makes the big play after big play after big play. Zeus on a fed Ambessa, Dracos. Nightmares for everyone. All right, let's take a look at it though, because G2, they make the call. Look at Broken Blade up in the top left. He snipes the Camille while they're making a simultaneous play mid, trying to get Guma, and barely the Seraphine ultimate did not connect off of the combination with Labrov. Regardless, G2 with the proactive approach.
Meanwhile, topside 1v1. We're not going to finish a replay today, Kobe. That's not allowed. What's weird is this is below HLE's average CKPM. This is a slow game for them, and it feels like they're just fighting all the time. G2 trying to get what vision they can around the pit. Nice blast cone interrupt there on the Vault Breaker. And we've seen in the last few fights, these combos with the Seraphine have not worked out. And they're still able to finish Guma in that fight later on with Broken Blade, but definitely a little bit rough when that Ziggs gets to live and go through another 2 or 3 cooldown rotations. It doesn't feel like that is a recipe for a winning fight.
You could regale me with stories of how any individual member on HLE right now is terrifying you, and I would accept that story.
Yeah, I'm scared of all of them. Delight is 1-4-3, and I'm terrified of Delight. As it looks like Zeus might want to be a little bit terrified of G2. He gets a lot of done there, but it might cost the
Baron. I mean, it's just gone. They accepted this play. D2 make the call. We're going to make an overload. We're going to try and get a kill onto Zeus. They do get that. They shut down Zeus. It is at the cost of the Baron, though.
And we were talking behind the scenes about Baron has a lot less value these days. I still think that that probably is not the best trade.
So if you think you're already just not going to get any good trades anyway, and your bar for trades is like, I'm going to lose out on whatever trade I make, then you're like, you know what? Maybe a Zeus and a tower is sounding better than just kind of losing somewhere else anyway. And so I think that is the call. They're like, you know what? We're not going to be capable of fighting evenly, so we're going to have to take a losing trade on the other side and then weather the storm of the Baron. The only problem is that you already have a timeline set for you. It's 1 minute on Mountain Soul, Dracos. That is incredibly powerful for all-ins. These teams that are looking for all-ins, if you have that big extra shield here.
Also, there's a Ziggs on the enemy team. I think we all just saw that man satchel charge that turret just to oblivion. It's really hard to weather the storm against the Ziggs plus dive composition. So G2, again, you can understand why they feel like they have to go for that trade, but weathering the storm, surviving against what feels like an inevitable Mountain Soul and a Baron-empowered Ziggs is a tall task.
All you can do is get there first and hope. You get there first, you try and use vision advantage to outplay in a team fight. Maybe then you can get some good positioning. Maybe you can get a nice Seraphine ulti. And they did try and get their vision first, but they have to give up the space as HLE move in with power.
Hook going a bit awry. Hoping to catch out Kanavi. Hansam, of course, can immediately follow up to keep that CC train going. You in for a Broken Blade, hoping to pick off Delight. Gumayusi isolated off to the side. Gonna get deleted before the fight even starts. Now Kanavi wants to turn it back. The Collapse is already moving first. Zeus finally arriving, as is Zeka. Eyes on the Fate Sealed. The combo of ultimates, but Zeka immediately going to get exhausted. G2, 4 members strong, barreling towards Zeus, looking to deny the soul.
They do it! Zeus now running for his life, and he can't run at all!
Rooted, Delight can't re-enter the fight. The only option left for HLE is to have Zeka push mid. It's Scrappy, it's messy, but it's G2 who take the exchange.
They have to fight their way out. That's the only option for G2, so they send it on mid lane. They go for the bottom lane of HLE. Broken Blade simultaneously engages on Delight. Wow, look at Labrov with the flash, with the hook, with the ulti, 100% to 0. It's James over the wall, and then G2 finish up the team fight here. HLE, they try and pull it back. They make you second guess. They're like, is Zeus really gonna blend all of us up? Not this time around.
Not this time. The fear, the root, the instantaneous CC. G2 with the man advantage, finding yet another kill onto Zeus. And now that trade deal from earlier, looking a hell of a lot better, Kobe, for the side of G2. The goal difference shrinked to 2,000. The biggest thorn in their side is going to be the inevitable Dragon contests required. And of course, the fact that Zeka is really scary.
Also, look at how much gold they got off of that. You know, you slingshot in this game now with lots of shutdowns and extra kills. So not only did you accomplish the #1 priority, which is, of course, deny Dragon Soul, but also getting yourselves into fighting shape now that you also have the team fight power of this Seraphine. That could be the difference in some of these scraps. Getting kills really helps even out some of the experience disadvantages as well.
It's going to be big in the fights to come, especially if they can keep being the ones to pull the trigger. You see how good the dive is from HLE, but if they fall behind in the fight, they don't get to choose their priority targets. They don't get to stack everything perfectly. And most importantly, when Guma's out of the equation, so much of the follow-up damage just isn't there.
Yeah. Everybody thinks they have a plan until they get punched in the face, so you got to punch first. And you know, Labrov and Broken Blade have been the ones punching first.
Yeah, that is the moral of the story. If you think they might fight you, just hit them.
Yeah.
Hit them right in the face, hit them fast. Well, that's Delight's plan. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like he's going to get the stun. Zeka, immediate lockup from Labrov, denying him on the side. Zeka.
That's good.
QSS out. G2, quick pick onto Delight, really punishing these haphazard moves from the Camille.
I mean, I want 5 of these, Dracos. This is my kind of league. Let's fight.
Let's get through one, Kobe. Let's not, one at a time.
They're gonna go for a dive here, baby. Look at this, circling around both sides.
Brav on the side, hoping to lock up Guma. Winds become lightning, does connect, but the satchel charge is still up and available. Labrov zoning them away, does get called out by Zeus. Excellent ulti on the public execution. Support's down on both sides, but it's 3 seconds until Delight is back up and active on the map. Kanavi debating, can he force the ulti? Caps goes golden with the Zhonya's, buys a second. Instantaneous follow-up is there, and the encore, not enough for Hansama. Instead, it's an encore for HLE. They want more kills, more violence, more action. This time, they're the ones punching first, and luckily for G2, they've got enough distance that they're gonna be able to walk this one off.
The problem is G2 punched the wall. If you hit a turret with your fist, that's gonna hurt. Didn't say they were gonna go for the dive, didn't say it was gonna be good. And HLE punished them. The damage there, Guma chases them off, and Zeus doesn't let them escape from under the tower. Zeus again on this Ambessa has just been able to clutch over and over.
Broken Blade. Quick. Going to retreat there from the tier 2. A little bit confident just to even walk up, but of course there's no vision in the G2 topside jungle, so he wasn't sure if it was going to be a single member pushing or the entire team. Well, we found out quickly it is the entire lineup of HLE on the top side of the map. 2 seconds till the Baron, 1:20 to that crucial soul point for HLE where G2 will be forced to contest.
And we really got to look at getting there first again. So they wrap around from 2 sides, but with the Ziggs disengaged from Caps and SkewMond, they have to run back out, and that leaves Labrov alone under the tower. So Zeus can follow him with his ultimate, easily able to snipe the Nautilus. And then Caps, even though he can kind of immune the Vi ultimate with his Zhonya's, they're still waiting around, so he's still going to die as soon as he comes right back out of it.
Bit of an oopsie, almost got out there. Did go to punch first. Again, you highlighted, punched a wall. There was a stud in the wall. Now there's a Zeus in the jungle, however, and there's not really a lot SkewMond can do. Flash in from Labrov, gets the flash out from Guma. G2 not certain if they want to keep playing for this. Zeka zoning them away with the Fate Sealed. Ulti's traded. Zeus, SkewMond re-engage. Instantaneous encore, hoping to burn through the Ambessa health bar. Broken Blade with the fear in the back line to stop the instantaneous follow-up. But Guma still gets the ulti down. Kanavi versus Caps. 1v1 gets a second of relief, but Zeka is already here. Flash away from Caps is simply not enough. But SkewMond, Warwick beside him. Broken Blade still living for too damn long. The magic damage gone, and this wolf is tearing through, baby.
That is a European Warwick right there. Broken Blade is going to take it to him. He is the last one standing along with Labrov. I mean, the dragon is still up, though. Dracos, the dragon's soul is available, and Kanavi, the only smite on the map, though, is going to get the vision control.
Yeah, I'm still... I got a howl, but I'm not certain. 8-2-6. 1v1, Broken Blade starts taking people out, but if...
You gotta love Broken Blade, man.
This looked dire.
People flame him when the picks don't work out. He always, though, will return to these off-meta counter picks when he likes the look of it, when they want to do a full scrap game. So let's take a look. SkewMond was both able to sidestep and then use his ultimate on the Zeus ultimate, but they also sent the Seraphine over the top there too. Broken Blade, though, he takes out Guma, which is key in the backline. The Ziggs so much damage, and then he can thrive in the rest of the fight, even though Zeka's able to jump over and finish off SkewMond. Warwick just has to auto.
Laughter from Rodrigo. Realm Warp into the backline. Instantaneous fit fight. Encore across the entire team. Caps getting lower. Delight still off to the side. Crucially, Guma is down. G2 holding on, but Kanavi and Zeus stay strong. This time around, it is not going their way. HLE happy to turn this one. Hansama running, but surely there is no way out. The buy, the Camille, the Ambessa, not even needed. G2 sent packing. A freeze frame, but it does not mean a damn thing. It's an ace for HLE.
That's what it looks like when HLE get their AoE off. Huge value on that damage. Giant amount of burst, and they're able to clean it up afterwards. That is finally gonna be the end of the Dragon Soul story, and it's gonna go over to the first seed from the LCK.
That Mountain Soul empowering them, making those bit of tanky stats that much stronger, the additional shielding that much harder to burst through, burst down, especially for Guma, who also now the Zanya's ready just to stop any more of those backline dive attempts. HLE poised for a victory lap to Baron and the base of G2 Esports, but there's another window to fight. G2 now at a massive deficit. Can they find a miracle once again?
All right, let's take a look at this because it happened so quickly with the Realm Warp. They go in and immediately they go for the full combo. Get the giant Ziggs damage on top of Delight's ultimate here, trapping them in. And the value is just so big that the scrap from Kanavi and Zeus here at the end wins out. Even with a Seraphine ulti that went over the top, Dracos.
And I think there's just so much AoE damage. We talked about it before. Walking into that choke point, it's nice if Guma's already dead, but G2 a little over-eager. It also looked like the fear from Broken Blade wasn't quite perfectly timed as they pop out, so an immediate satchel charge really stops him from kind of getting the start to the fight that he was looking for.
Yeah, and don't underestimate Ambessa's AoE damage either. Broken Blade, though, the lone gold lead, individual gold lead on the side of G2. Another Realm Warp play here attempted and is respected by the teleport from Zeus, even though nobody is going to get caught. Everybody is on pins and needles here with the speed of the engages. You have to react instantly. Baron gonna get started up. HLE are gonna force G2 to walk into their vision control.
G2 ignoring bot lane. If they lose this fight, Guma TP's bot and the game is over. It's all on this. 8K, objective getting lower. SkewMond ready to go over the wall, but they cannot walk through the minefield to force the 5v5. 50% HP on so many members, and there's not even a fight breaking out yet. Zeka over the wall, locking up SkewMond. Zeus to follow. Down goes the jungler. Turn back, though. Onto the light, hoping to get something else. Gumayusi is dead. G2 fighting into enemy territory on HLE. Multi-man lockup. Hansama and Caps have to make the difference, but the divers are too damn strong. Zeus once again gets the double. Zeka to finish it. HLE closing it out with confidence.
They knew they had the upper hand. They forced the Baron. They forced G2 to walk to them. And now HLE are going to walk into their base.
HLE, a confident victory lap. G2 got scrappy. They found some fights. They brought it back. but HLE so consistently performing better, making the most of their divers and punishing the mistakes of G2 Esports in this first game. The Warwick started rough. It got really good, but it wasn't enough with HLE itemizing the healing reduction, never giving him a chance to make the impact he was looking for. G2 sent back to the drawing board as HLE draw first blood in this best-of-5 series. But first, they got to play with their food a bit.
I respect it. G2 trying to play into that HLE pace and trying to keep tough for a little while, but HLE remain undefeated here at MSI. Analysts, take it away.